Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is February 15th and it's about 10 a.m. And I want to go back and look at the cheat sheet results for prize pick plays for the last 2 days on the 13th and on the 14th. And I'm going to show you some things that work, some good things, some bad things. I get a lot of questions on new members and they're always asking, well, what are the picks? Well, we're not a pick service. We don't give like play these 3 plays. These sheets are filled with data and everybody uses them a different way. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. Some people want to see the projections versus the prize pick lines, and we've got roto projections and fantasy pros. We also average those out and we put them in this column here if you want to see the average projections. Some days the projections are fire and some days they are not. So we're going to take a look at that. Personally, what I like is I look at the cheat line difference here, which is going to be really close to the confidence percentage. That's one of my favorite ways to look for plays. I'll sort it high to low and dig through the top 10 to 15. Also, the last 7-day average is crucial because these are going to find the players that are hot or cold. Now, typically, you're going to see what they've averaged over the last 7 days, and if that's a great difference than the price pick line, that's a player you should look at. I'm not saying that's someone that you should play. It's 100% lock. I'm saying it's someone that you should look at. There could be a significant change in minutes. The player could have just switched teams. Someone could be injured and they're moving into the starting lineup, so they might average 15 minutes, but now they're going to play 35. So these are things to kind of keep in mind, but the last 7-day average is helpful, and we're going to look at some results from looking at those plays. And then also we've got the streaks. Typically, if a streak is hot, typically we see them, do pretty good. And then last 10 hit rate is my other favorite. So just to recap, I sort by, we'll say, confidence percentage, the last 7-day difference, and last 10 hit percentage are the 3 things that I look at the most. People love projections, so I've got them in here. I don't care for projections as much, so let's go ahead and take a look and kind of see how they did. I try to look at this at least 4 to 5 days a week. I don't get time to do it every day because it takes me about 15-20 minutes to copy, paste, and update results and then add in these 2 columns over here to show you if it was over or under. But when I do, I try to share it in the chat so people can play with it. So this is February 13th. So we're going to just kind of flip through the things and I'm going to show you what I look at. So the last 10 hit rate, and it's probably already sorted. I sort it high to low. So anything above 80%, I make green. Oh, I just found out you can't even see that. All right. Let me slide this over here. Let me go to view and let's take it down to 90% and see if that'll bring it on the screen for us. Okay, so that's a little better. So you should be able to see, okay, the hit rate, and then these are the game logs over here, so you're not as worried about those. So we're going to sort this high to low, and what we're focusing on is this column right here. So when we look at last 10 hit rate, if you just open up the sheet, the first thing I do, I'll sort it by last 10 hit rate, and then I'll kind of dig through these top plays, and I look at the player names first and decide, if I like them, if I don't like them, kind of my initial thoughts on them. Well, you can see here over the top 12 plays, they did really well. They ended up going, I wrote down 9-3, but that doesn't look like 9-3 to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9-1 over the top 10 plays, and then there was a little streak of unders here that missed. So over the top section of plays, you can see Kyrie showed up in a lot of these, and he went over on all of his props. And then I like to look and see, what was the line, and if it went under, was it significantly under, or did it just miss? Lots of times there's a change in minutes, etc., etc. So last 10 hit rate is usually something I use to dig up the first plays, which you can see here, this top section did really good on the 13th. Looking at streaks, that's the second thing I look at. You can see they completely missed. So we had 7, 6, 4, several streaks. You can see these top ends. There were a lot of unders that day. So let's flip it the other way and go low to high. And it was almost the opposite. A lot of the unders went over. Well, typically Price Picks, they're constantly adjusting their lines, so that's pretty common. Looking at the roto projections, they did really well. So I sort here by this difference column, and you can see they're 15-2 over these top 17 plays. So these guys right here absolutely smashed a ton of overs. You can see a couple small misses. Well, Claxton really missed, but a bunch of overs. So the roto projections tend to do better than the Fantasy Pro projections, which I was shocked on. And then over here, the Fantasy Pro projections on the top half, I would say they missed a lot of these. And then they went on a hot streak here. So out of all these, it's, 50-55%. So good, not great. Some people wanted the column for the averages of the two projections, so we put that in there. And it's a little over 50%. A lot more. They got hot down here. But again, typically depends on the player. And then when we go over here and we look at confidence percentage, you can see that did really well. So we have days where we'll just completely miss, and then we have days where we just explode and nail everything. So over here, this is, let me add it up real quick, 20-7. So we hit 20 out of the top 27 plays. So that's pretty good for the confidence percentage. And then over here for the last 7-day average, I forgot to hit on. We're going to look at that one. So looking at that one, the last 7-day average, it did pretty good overall. You're always going to have some over-unders. They're going to be mixed in here, but they were 19-11 out of the top 30. So that's not bad. 19 out of 30 hitting those plays. So the biggest thing that I want to stress is there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Just find your process and then use that. It's crucial. You can look at the game logs. And if you want to see the game logs on the individual player, you can click over here, and we've got everything you need to see for those. But what I like to do, just to recap again, is sort by last 10 hit percentage. I like looking at the last 7-day average, confidence percentage. Those are my three. I've been following roto projections a little bit more because they've been doing really well. Like we can see here on the 13th, they absolutely smashed up top. Let's see what they did on the bottom side. I don't look at unders a whole lot. So unders, they had missed a lot of those. What's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, and looks like 7 and 8. So not as good on the unders, but definitely something to take a look at. And then over here we have these little, well, that's not it, these little play suggestions. And so when we're looking at these, we have cooling off, heating up, hot picks, ice picks. So let's look at hot picks first. So hot picks are games that are hot overs. They have a last 10 hit rate of 70% or better. And then both Fantasy Pros and Roto have projections going over. And then we also like the over. So a lot of overs there. So when we're taking a look at this, you can see they did pretty good. I'm not going to add these up, but you can see how many overs we had versus unders. So about 60-65%. So that was pretty good on the day. But if you come over here and sort by last 10 hit rate, everything that was 80% and higher hit. So the hot picks with an 80% and better hit rate went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7-0. So that was really good to see. So hot picks did well that day. Ice picks, these are games that are unders. And you can see they did really well here. We've got 3, 5, 10... 10 and 6, so 10 out of 16 hit, so not too bad. And then if you sort by last 10 hit rate, let's see if that changes anything. So, not too bad, typically about the same. So the ice picks are games you want to look for the under. And then over here, let's look at cooling off. This is kind of the second tier of unders. It's got a bigger threshold. You're going to see a lot more plays here. But this is just kind of an indicator of if the player's getting hot or getting cold. And you can see they were about 50-50, part under, part over. And then I want to look at the heating up plays and see how they did. So looking at the heating up plays, a lot of them missed. There were a bunch of unders, and that's typically, we see those about 50-50. But again, it's just an indicator. So I want to flip over and look at the next day's cheat sheet. So looking at the cheat sheet from yesterday, the 14th, we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go through it a little bit faster. Now that, Let me see. We need Jason Tatum's arm to make sure that's on the screen that you can see. I'm going to slide that over, and you still can't see the hit rate. Where's it at? All right, so I'm going to cut the player names off a little bit so we can look at the hit rate right here. The first thing we do, like we said, I'm going to look at the last 10 hit rate, and we're going to work our way across. So looking here, it did really good. Actually, this absolutely smashed yesterday. So 20 and 12 overs on the last 10 hit rates, and you can see we had a lot of hot picks in there, so that was good. Looking at the streaks, streaks did really well. The top, what is that, 7, 8, the top 8 hits, so 8-0, 8-0, and then 10-1 on the top streak, so those did really well. Now let's look at roto projections. Didn't have as good of a day. I would say they probably hit about 40-45%, so down day for the projections, which is fine. And Fantasy Pros, we're going to look at them, and same thing, they had a lot of unders there, so that's one of the reasons I do not like projections. So we're going to go right to last 7-day average and take a look at those. And those did pretty good. So the players that are averaging a good amount, they're 20 and 8. So they hit 20 out of the top 28 plays. So if you just come in and you blindly sort last 7-day average or last 10 hit rate and then dig through these top 10 to 15 plays, you have a pretty good probability of putting together 2, 3, 4, or 5 winners together. So that's one of the things that I want to focus on is find something that works and then dig through those plays and take a look at them. Looking at the confidence percentage, if projections weren't as well, it's going to pull us down a little bit. So I think they're 7 and 6 over the top 13. So about 50%, nothing fantastic, but definitely something that we want to take a look at. And like I said, we'll have days where it will smash and we'll hit 15 of the top 20. And then we have days where we fall to about 50%, which is pretty standard. Now I want to look at our indicator picks. So our hot picks, we didn't get any of those yesterday. So these were the 4 plays, and they all ended up going under. But I don't know what happened to Lopez. We had him over 6.5 rebounds. That was a play that I really liked. And Pat Conacher ended up with like 9 rebounds, and Lopez had 2. So I don't even know how that happens because he's not even that big of a guy. So let's take a look at the ice picks. So these are going to be plays that are under. So they went 4-0. All 4 of those went under. We had Derek White rebounds. Banchero had a couple of those. So the ice picks went well. And then our second tier plays, we had the cooling off. So these are the ones that they're not hot, they're a little cool. So they did really well. So let's see, 3, 4, 5, 9. So 9 and 3 unders on the cooling off plays. So that's good. I typically, the heating up and cooling off, I don't look at as much, but I've started to here recently just because I want to see how they're doing. So they did really well yesterday. And then let's see how the heating up plays did. So 4-0, didn't have quite as many of them as I thought we would. And they're all the same player. You probably can't see it on your screen, but Terrence Mann. And so he was 4-0 on the over. So overall, if you put them all together, not too bad. They did pretty good, a pretty good indicator. And again, these sheets are made for you guys. So if you see something that you want added, let me know. As long as it's not too cluttery and people agree to it, I will add anything that you want in here. And we make these fun. I mean, I make these sheets for you guys. I typically don't play on price picks as much because you get better odds if you bet it through a sports book and put the props together. But I have these and I post the plays that I like that jump out at me. But lots of times I'm getting a different line on a DraftKings sportsbook when I'm doing a same game parlay versus what I would get on price picks. However, on Taco Tuesdays and these bonus days, I really get into price picks and take advantage of those discounted plays like you saw last night. So biggest thing, come up with a process. There's no set thing for plays on the sheet. I know a lot of websites will post, hey, these are the 3 picks. Well, they're doing that for advertisements. Lots of times when I post these sheets in the morning, there's 50 to 125 price picks. And when I do the update at 4:30, there's 400 to 600 prize lines. So whatever you want to see, we have. If you want to see the last 7-day average, if you want to see what Fantasy Pros projects them at, Roto projections, you want to see the streaks, who's hot, who's cold, who's heating up, who's warming off, whatever, last 10 hit rates, game logs, and you can get as detailed as you want in these. But again, what I recommend is sort by last 10 hit rate, last 7-day average, confidence percentage, and in those top 10 to 15 plays, dig through those, find some plays you like, put those together. Those are going to be the best methods to utilize this sheet and dig through it. Also, I love your feedback. So if you're in the free Facebook group, I post these sheets for everybody on Thursday. And if someone will just throw up a thread and say, hey, daily prize picks, post them here. I try to do that, but lots of times I don't get around to it till after lunch. Post it in there, get a conversation going. I'll always jump in, give you my thoughts, who I like. And then in the premium group, we don't do as much in the Facebook group, but we do in the Facebook chat. So the premium members, we go in the chat, we share a lot of plays, cards, tickets, and stuff like that. So I love to see the feedback. And in there, we do DFS, sports betting, and player props. So if you're playing price picks and you see people talking sports betting, don't worry, jump in there, be like, hey, what price picks do you like? You know, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I like. And people will share their feedback. We have a good group of guys. We have a large group of people that have been with me since I started this thing when we were back just, you know, trying to figure out what we wanted to make in these sheets, and we've came a long way. So I hope this video helps. I will continue to post screenshots of the highlights and tips and tricks and things that I notice. But if you guys have any questions, if you need anything, shoot me a message, post it in the chat, post it in the Facebook group, tag me. I'm more than happy to help you out, explain anything to you, and we will go from there. Thanks, guys.